Reports have came out that Toronto has made an offer on Nikita Zadorov. What would the trade package look like and how would he fit into the Leafs lines? We'll get into that later on, but before I start, I just want to say to the 80% of you that are watching and aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this daily Leafs and NHL content, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long and we'll hop straight into the first topic, which is a Zadorov deal in place. When you do look at this, a lot of media has been talking the past few days, especially yesterday when it kind of picked up. And STP did cover it and said, when talking about Zadorov, what we're hearing as of Monday morning is the Leafs do have a deal, they do have an offer in place, and they're just waiting on the Flames. So when you do look at this, Zadorov is a guy that a lot of teams are looking at. There's a lot of speculations that the team like the Edmonton Oilers might look at him. The Vancouver Canucks have been heavily rumored, or the Florida Panthers were another team as well. Zadorov's the type of guy, if you watch recent videos from us, you know we talk about him a lot, is a guy that's a playoff guy. He's a big body, 6'6", just under 250 pounds. He's going to throw his weight around. He's your stereotypical defensive defenseman with a lot of grit. And if you want to look at how Treliving said it, was a lot of snot to his game. So this is a guy that's going to be highly sought after. But the big thing with this is a lot of teams are looking to acquire this guy. It might turn into a bidding war. But it is reassuring to see that Treliving, the Leafs management, has made an offer on this guy. So the big thing is, if an offer is in place, why isn't a deal done? The big thing to look at with this as well is the Leafs are currently on a road trip. And by road trip, I mean they're currently in Sweden for the next two games on Friday and Sunday. So they're currently gone as of today, and they won't be returning until after Sunday. So this deal in place would be kind of tricky, where you acquire a guy who would have to meet the team in Sweden, learn the system, get into Friday and Sunday's games. And the biggest issue with this is you don't want to rush this guy into this. And ultimately, a lot of people are speculating that John Klingberg would be a part of this package. Klingberg is from Sweden, so I guess Leafs management's also looking at this of, hey, the last two games haven't been bad with the defense. We can ride out these two games, give Klingberg his two home games in Sweden. If things look good, if Klingberg's outstanding, maybe they look at another package where you send a couple other players out. Instead of Klingberg, you keep this guy. But ultimately, what does a trade package look like? This is the big thing being talked about a lot as well. So when you kind of look at this trade package from Sam Trepek. I hope I'm saying this right. He's a great follow on Twitter. He's an inspiring scout. I recommend going to follow him. When talking about Abasuazi, he was saying he was a linemate with Coronado. This was a guy the Flames drafted 13th overall in 2021. So this would be a little bit of a Harvard reunion line. But a deal that he was saying that would make sense for both parties would be Toronto getting Nikita Zadorov with no money retained, and Calgary getting John Klingberg, Nick Abasuazi, and a third-round pick. As I said, you would reunite this Harvard line. Abasuazi is a guy who the Leafs did draft 4th overall in the 2019 draft. He's 4th round, sorry. He's 24 years old. He only had a brief stint of 11 games in the NHL, but just last season, if you are looking at this, he did put up 2 assists in his 2 games, and he's having an outstanding year for the Toronto Marlies right now. This is a guy that has shown a lot of potential in Toronto. He's a guy that could maybe slide into your bottom 6 or your middle 6. It's just he's kind of pushed back into the Leafs lines a bit. When you do look at the center depth, there's a lot of guys. And when you look at the wingers as well, it's kind of hard to fit this guy into the lineup and justify pushing out a guy like Ryan Reeves or a guy like Nick Robertson, Matthew Nyes. These rookies with the smaller deals that you could bury aren't people you really want to push out. So Nick is kind of stuck in the situation of not being able to make the lineup, but he looks like he has the flashes and the tools to be good already. So as I said with this, he's a guy with limited experience, but he looks great in the AHL. And when you kind of look at the package, they get a fringe guy that could make the lineup this season, John Klingberg, who they could ship off in a deal if it's at trade deadline, or if they're making for one more playoff push, they do move Zadorov out. They could keep a guy like John Klingberg, boost the power play, and then they also get the 3rd round pick. I know there was a lot of rumors too that Toronto was looking at maybe a Zadorov and Tanev. Obviously, there would be more salaries going out. Maybe this was TJ Brody or this kind of situation. But it hasn't been completely confirmed yet if they're just offering on just Zadorov or if this is a Tanev and Zadorov deal. And this kind of makes you think too is, how do the lines look with Nikita Zadorov? So as I said, this would be John Klingberg being the only notable piece coming out of the Leafs lineup in this deal. So a big thing to look at as well is Sheldon Keefe was saying yesterday that Connor Timmins is progressing well and is ahead of schedule. He was practicing on power play 1, so this is a great sign to see. Timmins, who was tearing it up in the preseason, he was looking like a fan favorite, had an unfortunate injury, is looking like he will be back after this trip to Sweden. So if you do look at the Leafs lines, obviously the forwards would stay the same. This would be on if the deal of Zadorov for Klingberg, Ebswayzen III. The forwards would stay the same. The big thing here is Bobby McMahon can still stay on the team, and Ryan Reeves as well. Then when you look at the defense, it would still be Morgan Rielly, TJ Brodie, Nikita Zadorov, Jake McCabe, Mark Giordano, Connor Timmins, and Lagesson. This is with Timothy Liljegren on the LTIR right now. His injury should keep him out till the new year, so the Leafs wouldn't have to worry about cap. But in the situation, if he did come back, you could still bury a guy like Ryan Reeves in the AHL, bring Timothy Liljegren up, and just ultimately, I would feel a lot more comfortable with these lines right here than I would with what the Leafs are running right now. Like I said, Legesson's been outstanding so far. A guy like Klingberg has looked fine in his past game. He has shown flashes of potential, but I think this would be your stereotypical what you want in the playoffs. You get a defensive guy on every line. You get Timmins, you get Liljegren to kind of slot into that third pairing, whichever way you want it to look at it. And ultimately, I think this is what Toronto needs. I think this is a deal that Brad Treliving needs to do. I think this is if Calgary has his offer on the table. I know there's going to be a bit of a bidding war, but with Treliving's experience with Calgary, with being the recent GM, I think he has a lot of ties with his organization still. Zadorov was a guy that he brought into Calgary. Obviously, he loves this player. He loves his style. So I think ultimately we do get this deal done. I think this is going to be a deal that comes after they return from the trip to Sweden. And I think this is the missing piece to Toronto and their just ambition to winning the Stanley Cup, which all fans, including myself, wants. But with that said, we'll hop into everyone's favorite topic, which is, sorry about that, comment of the day. And the comment of the day today comes from Dennis. And he says, is that a Newfoundland accent that I detect? Very intriguing. Me and Casey are both from Newfoundland. I love putting these Newfoundland comments as comments of the day, as Newfoundland is a small island, and it's awesome to see people from here. Obviously, Casey's accent's a lot more showable than mine. I kind of sound like a mainlander, but it's awesome just seeing the comments from Newfoundlanders and just everyone. If you wanted to go down and comment where you're watching from, that's awesome. It's cool just to see people interacting from around the world. And what's your thoughts on this? Do you think Toronto's kind of jumping the gun trying to get this Zadorov trade done? Do you think these lines are good enough? And what's your thoughts on this package? Do you think the Leafs are giving up too much, too little, or just the right amount? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoy the NHL and the Leafs, check out this video that's floating around on your screen somewhere, and take care.